2 has entered the podcast.
Welcome back, people, to Player 2 has entered the podcast. That podcast about video games, nerd stuff, and two friends catching up for the week. I am your co-host, Michael, aka MC Paperstacks, and with me, as always, is my co-host with the co-most,
Derrick, aka Fullmetal Murk, and we've got another week of exciting news and things we've been playing this week. It's a big week for games, for me personally.
Yeah, it is. Oh my god. Speaking of which, if it sounds like Godzilla is terrorizing the town, my son is upstairs, and he's been doing this new thing where he'll watch a video where it's like a hyperactive children's cartoon or Luigi's Mansion, and he'll physically act out what he's seeing on the screen. So wow. it may get a little rocky above my head. If there's a boss fight, you'll hear the weight of a 5-year-old slamming into the ceiling above me. So
I thought you were making reference to my dryer. It's very noisy.
I can't actually hear your dryer, and hopefully the people at home. Good. Yeah, hopefully I do a little bit of noise suppression and cancellation. I don't just slap this thing up on Anchor, so hopefully It won't be too much of a distraction. But speaking of distractions, you got yourself a big old distraction this week. What happened?
Yes. So I walk into GameStop. At this point, I've traded in so many Switch games, controllers, and everything because they've been doing a lot of promos. Mm-hmm. They opened up their mail. It's like, hey, Derrick, you want a Series S? And I was like, Then I called you, and we had like a 10-minute conversation about pros and cons.
Now, let me ask you a question. When you called me, were you calling me to like legit kind of swing you one way or another, or were you calling me to get you to tell you yes or no? Like, did you have an idea of what I would say, and you were hoping I would say it?
Swing me one way or another.
Okay, fair enough.
Because it's like, do I need it? No, not really, but I have the credit, so maybe Michael can give me the push I need to...
I won't steer you wrong for sure. Like, I definitely want you to get one. I wanted you to get one, but at the same time, I was trying to be, like, realistic about the pros and cons, so...
Right, like, especially the amount of time that I have to play, which virtually
I mentioned
as much time as I want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah. So I went ahead and grabbed a Series S. Woo! And I have really been enjoying this Game Pass stuff.
Yay, Game Pass.
Yes, Game Pass. Got that $1 month of Game Pass Ultimate, and yeah, it's pretty dope.
It's pretty hefty, pretty meaty boy. They actually dropped a lot of stuff on Game Pass recently, too. Mm-hmm. I was perusing it the night before, and I was just like, oh my god, they drop stuff so often on there, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah. I just saw that Dragon Ball FighterZ had dropped, and I was like, oh, I was just playing that the other day. That just dropped? Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, well, I mean, come on, give us the details. What do you think?
I mean, I love it. It's so cute. And that's weird saying that about my games console, but the Series S is like they said, it's the smallest Xbox ever made.
It's your little baby.
It's very minimalistic, just a white box, and it fits very snugly right into my entertainment system, and it makes no noise. It turns on immediately. As soon as you hear the it's on. Mm-hmm. And you're at the home screen. I'm like, Jesus.
That's that instant on. Be careful, though, because I think we talked about it before. If you're leaving your stuff plugged in, like you don't have a power strip you shut off, you could have more than average vampiric drain if it's plugged directly into the outlet, because it doesn't ever fully shut off unless you turn off those features. And even then, I feel like there's still some drain. So
gotcha.
Keep that in mind.
All about that.
That's electricity bill, buddy.
Yeah. And what else? The controller. Oh, my God. Mm-hmm. The grain kind of feeling on the back of it and on the triggers. It's just beautiful. It feels nice.
Now, let me ask you this. Now that you've had some time with the Xbox Series X/S controller versus the PlayStation 5 controller, setting aside the haptic feedback technology, which one is your favorite?
Honestly, they're almost neck and neck for me, because they're pretty much the same size at this point. Mm-hmm. And the thing that put the 360 controller over the PS3 controller was the shape. The 360 controller, to me, is the most perfect controller. Even the Xbox One and Series controllers are not better than the 360. Like, it's just...
Wow, that's interesting. I actually prefer these newer controllers to the 360.
I don't know. I just like the roundedness of it. Mm-hmm. Like, the newer controllers have the straight lines when you're holding them in your hand. But, I mean, if I had to choose, I'd say the Xbox controller.
Interesting.
They kind of have it down.
I prefer the PlayStation controller, but just because of the adaptive triggers and the haptic feedback. I would agree with you that shape and ergonomic wise, that I do prefer the Xbox controller.
Right. The way it fits in my hand, great. But the buttons on the Xbox controller and the D-pad and all that,
Mm-hmm.
I prefer the PlayStation.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Because they click so hard on the Xbox and they make so much noise on the PlayStation. It's just
The Xbox controller is loud as fuck. I'll agree with you.
Yeah, the Xbox goes like...
I know.
I'm like, God damn.
You'd be on the phone. You'd be on the phone with like your wife, like, "Are you playing Xbox while talking to me?" No. Click, click,
no.
click, 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 click.
Click, 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 click.
Oh, I haven't had that conversation in a while.
Get away with that. Shit.
Yeah, I haven't had that conversation in a while. My wife just expects it now. But I remember when I was young and I was dating women who maybe weren't super keen on video games. You know, sometimes your girl just calls you and you're paying attention, but y'all ain't talking about nothing. So you might swing through New York as Spider-Man or something, collect a few icons while you're doing it. She finds out, she gets mad. We've all been there.
Yeah, exactly.
I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm a terrible boyfriend. Much better husband though. So hey, I evolved.
Right. I was like, you're a husband now, so
yeah. I think I'm a good husband. Unless people are lying to me. Anyways, what else has been going on with you, man?
Got a little bit of sad news. Unfortunately, the voice actor for Frieza in Dragon Ball Z Kai, Super, and the Dragon Ball Super movies, Chris Ayres, has passed away. He passed away on October 21st from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Basically what that is blockage from your lungs, and it just makes it so you can't breathe. And usually
from the
it's
lungs?
caused by, yeah.
Does it have anything to do with the heart? I thought it would with the pulmonary part.
And I did too, but when I looked it up, I mean, it had, it said legit the lungs, unless the
maybe the
Wikipedia
blockage is like
artery
or maybe the blockage is like blood or artery related, and so that's kind of where it comes. Okay. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
How old was he?
He was 54, I think.
Oh, that is way too young for that bullshit. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, he was 54.
Well, rest in peace. Definitely.
That's 56. He was 56.
He's 56. Still too young.
Yeah, it really sucks because when they changed the voice for Frieza, at first I was like, because in Dragon Ball Z Kai, which is basically a redubbing and a non-filler version of Dragon Ball Z, they replaced Frieza's voice actor with this guy. Mm-hmm. And at first, you know, it took a while for him to grow on me. And by the time Dragon Ball Super rolled around, I was like, okay, I'm with it. I'm with this. Mm-hmm. And now he's gone. I fully expect Dragon Ball Super to come back within the next year or so, but it's just unfortunate, you know, when somebody puts in so much work, and especially voice actors, because I feel like voice actors stay with you more than regular actors, if that makes sense, because you have more to put to their voice. Like, their voice is associated with this property that you've been watching for decades.
They can be pretty signature. Yeah.
Yeah. So, rest in peace, Chris Ayres. It's a tragedy. I hope that his family and his girlfriend and everyone who knows him is able to feel some sort of peace after his passing.
Yeah, I know. Our condolences go out to his loved ones.
Sad day for the Dragon Ball community.
Yeah, sad day indeed. And our condolences go out to his loved ones for sure.
Mm-hmm. On some brighter news, we just got done talking about someone passing. I met my newborn niece.
Aww.
Her name is Naomi. It's my brother Kendall and his girlfriend Brooke's daughter. She is just absolutely beautiful. And I got to hold her. And I was like, hey, Naomi.
And now you want a second kid.
No. No. I was so shocked when I heard she was pregnant again. I was like, whoa, slow down. Slow down. Because I'm like, no, I don't want it. I do not want another kid. But
so they already have a boy, and this is your first niece?
Uh-huh.
Cool.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It is so crazy.
Well, congrats, Unc.
Yeah, my stepmom, she sent me a picture of me and my brothers when we were younger. We're all wearing yellow shirts. It was for like a family picture or whatever. Mm. And Kendall was small enough to sit on my lap in this picture. And I was just like, oh my God. Because he was like
making babies.
Yeah, exactly. So it's so crazy to think about how old you're getting and how old your siblings are getting and just time and what is life and what are we doing?
That actually reminds me, I didn't really put a space for this in the podcast today, but we did announce it officially this week. And I've kind of mentioned it here or there. I dropped it because I don't have a ton of friends and family that listen to the podcast. It's more like outside that bubble that we have for the audience. But yeah, we're having a second kid too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So my
yeah.
wife reached viability, which is usually we like to wait until we hit viability before we announce, for obvious reasons. If you listen to the podcast regularly, you know what's up. My second son, Malcolm James Peterson, will be born on December 28th of this year.
The second child.
Second son. So,
Infamous.
yeah, he's doing great. He's super healthy and active, and I'm excited. I think it's going to be awesome for Ben to be a big brother and for us to have a new addition to the family. So good news all
really
around.
Cool. Yeah, that's really cool. I always wondered what it would be like to be the younger sibling. You know what I mean? Especially to a sibling that was like 5 years, 6 years older than me. Because like my youngest sibling is 12 years younger than me. So like he just graduated high school like last year. So it is wild, but congratulations, man. That is awesome. Love to hear it. I'm extremely happy for you guys. I don't think I've said it, but I am so happy for you guys. Like, y'all deserve this.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it took a little bit of effort for sure, but I'm glad we made it, and I think we're going to be done at this point.
Yeah. No, I hope so.
Yeah, Kristen was keen on a second kid, and I was weighing the pros and cons mainly because I just don't like to see her go through it. It's tougher for her than most, but I'm really happy that we're getting to the other side of that and things are going smoothly. So it's going to be amazing, and I'm so happy for Ben to have a brother. I think he's going to be a great big brother. He's going to be a good sibling.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's going to be awesome.
All right.
Moving on from that, just a few pickups this week. Actually, quite a bit. Just going to run through them real quick.
Okay.
Unit 13 on the PS Vita. Naruto Ninja Destiny on DS. Digimon World Championship DS. Dragon Ball Z Attack of the Saiyans DS. Digimon World Dawn DS. Dragon Ball Z Haru Kanaru Din Setsu on the DS.
Okay.
Fossil Fighters DS.
Ooh, that's a
Spider-Man
good one.
Yeah, I know. I actually just sold a copy earlier, and I have like 2 other copies.
Oh, you do have 2 other copies. I might look into that. That game is cool.
Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions on PS3, X-Men Origins Wolverine on PS3, which is the best Wolverine game to
so
come
far
out until Insomniac.
Until Insomniac drops theirs.
Upcoming Wolverine.
Yeah, brush up, people. Go to the store and buy that for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Amazing Spider-Man 2, Disgaea D2, A Brighter Darkness, Disgaea 3, Absence of Justice,
Wow.
Tales of Grace's F, Tales of Symphonia Chronicles, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, Nintendo GameCube, and just in time for Halloween, The Suffering on Xbox, The House of the Dead Overkill on Wii, and Silent Hill Shattered Memories on Wii.
Ooh, how much is that going for?
That's for like
Shattered.
$70.
Oof.
Yeah. For like 70, boom.
Ooh.
I'd get it if I same day.
I would get it if the game were better. The game is not
Right.
super good, but it's definitely a piece of history, and it's one of the better looking Wii games for sure.
Yeah. So if any of that interests anyone listening to the podcast, head to ebay.com/str/gamergoodies and more. By the time this is posted, I should have all these items posted. So
Excellent.
check it out. If you're not checking out the site every day, then what's wrong with you? You need to be doing that anyway.
Get on the site every day. We have a link tree, people. Use it. Come on.
Yes.
Come on. Well, by the way, you can actually see when people click on the links in the link tree, people are navigating to your site from the link tree.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's good stuff.
That's dope.
All right. Well, the last thing we have for current events is that Cowboy Bebop trailer that dropped. It dropped this week, right? Lost Session.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's to kind of highlight the upcoming live-action adaptation of Cowboy Bebop on Netflix. Now, for those interested who haven't seen Cowboy Bebop, it was on Hulu for the longest time. I don't know if it still is, but I know it's now on Netflix, for sure. Yeah. I was just talking to some of the gamer friends last night, and they were talking about, checking out the show, and I'm like, oh my god, please watch the anime first. Please watch the anime first.
You don't want them going into watching the show and thinking the show's good when it's not.
Yeah, well, it's not about, because we don't really know, but I'd rather their first impression of these characters in this world be something that we know for sure is really good, and that way, if the live action ends up being good, bonus, and if it ends up being bad, it doesn't taint that first experience. That's my whole thing. Because, I mean, Cowboy Bebop is legendary for a reason. But yeah, we just watched Lost Session. I actually just watched it today because I hadn't seen it yet because I was kind of avoiding it. I don't know why. Okay. I have opinions. But before I get to my opinions, let's hear your opinions.
It looks mad campy, not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
They did some cool things in the trailer with like the frames and pushing the frames out, but I feel like it was overused. Mm-hmm. Even if it was just a trailer, I was just like, you're kind of overusing it. The novelty of it is kind of wearing on me.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the characters go, I'm not feeling Faye. I'm not even feeling Spike. Honestly, I'm not feeling any of the characters, any of the actors they chose as these characters, if I'm completely honest.
Okay.
Just from what I saw in this trailer. Like, I haven't seen the show yet. It may be better in the show. Like, some of the dialogue was good, or like, was reminiscent of the show, but all in all, my hopes are not high.
Okay.
I'm going to go in with 0 expectations, and hopefully I'll be surprised. Just like Malignant.
Right.
0 expectations. Super surprised.
Super surprised. Well, okay, so I liked the look of the show. I thought design-wise, I thought it looked really nice. And you're right that it kind of overused that little graphic frame, but hopefully that's not the show itself. That's just more flashy for the trailer. I like that they applied the old soundtrack to it, and I thought the use of the soundtrack was good. Liked watching Spike kick ass to "What planet is this?" I agree with you. I don't really like the characterization of Faye. The actor could be good, but the direction they're going with Faye gives me pause, because for those who know the original show, Faye isn't really like a team player. She's very guarded, she's very secretive, she's, kind of snarky. And even towards the end of the show, one of the big things about the end of the show is she starts to kind of open up and show that she does care about the guys, but it's more of a revelation. In this, she just seems like she is a part of the team. They're planning all the heists together, and she's not just along for the ride or there because that's what she does, is she drifts from place to place, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I actually liked Jet Black. I thought he was pretty decent, to be honest.
Yeah. I like him as an actor, for sure.
Yeah, I thought his characterization is fine, because Jet is more like a patronly figure, and he is constantly trying to get Spike and Faye in line. And it seemed like that's kind of the role that he was playing in this trailer. And then Spike was okay, but I didn't like his fighting style. It didn't look like he was using Jeet Kune Do, which is a big thing with Spike. Like, he uses Bruce Lee's style of Kung Fu. Also, they were kicking a little too much ass in this trailer. And the thing about Cowboy Bebop is they lose more often than they win. Like, they're downtrodden. Right. Even in the first episode, Spike gets his ass kicked a lot, and I think he ends up failing what he was setting out to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And in this, they're just badass. They're kicking everybody's butt. They're nailing every shot. Vicious shows up for a hot second, and I don't know who plays Vicious, but that part was cool too. I like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's some good and bad mixed in here. I'm not, like you said, trying to go in with a lot of expectations. This is an interpretation. I like that they're being bold. Like you said, it's campy, and they're really kind of leaning into it. If you're going to do it, do something different with it. So maybe it doesn't all need to be the same. But I'm a little turned off by seeing familiar characters act differently than I know them to act. And I think that's just something that I'm personally going to need to get over, Yeah. So we're in wait and see mode, right? I feel like we're in wait and see mode. Okay. Well, speaking of waiting and seeing, we have a lot of video games to get through. Just like when I first got my Series X, you played a lot of games because Game Pass just opens up that world. And I actually played a decent amount of games this week myself, just by virtue of having a lot to play and get through. So let's go right into it. Derek, this week, what you playing?
I played a little bit of Dragon Ball FighterZ on Game Pass, and that's going to be a running theme with my what you playing. Nora, when she sees me playing fighting games, she's like, "Daddy, I want to play." And so I went out and got another controller, because I was initially just going to have one controller for my Xbox. And she said she wanted to play with me, so I went and got another controller.
No.
Cute, right? Anyway, so we played a few rounds of Dragon Ball FighterZ. She loved it. I tried out 12 Minutes, which is that point-and-click game starring James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, and Willem Dafoe. And I wasn't really feeling it.
What was the turnoff for you?
Just how kind of slowly it moved along, as far as like the point and click aspect of it. And also the characters kept running into each other and like mushing together, and it really took me out of it. they were just like, oh, excuse me. Oh.
That's interesting. I didn't have that issue.
I did, for sure. But I also didn't know what I was doing. So when I died for the first time and it went back in time, I was like, oh, it's time loop stuff going on. Okay.
Oh, you didn't know that? That's what the whole gimmick.
No, I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah.
So that was cool. So
It's
I might go back
12
to
minutes
it
of his
just for
life
that.
over and over again.
Right. So I might check it out again because it seems interesting. The point and click stuff just...
There's a little bit of a learning curve with the point and click, especially if you don't have a history with it. I think it's worthwhile. The story is pissing a lot of people off, which to me intrigues me. And I think I've already kind of given my overall thoughts on that, where I stand. But yeah, I'd be interested to hear what you think once you get through it. So
yeah, for sure. Battletoads, the new Battletoads that came out on Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
It looks great. As far as gameplay, it seemed like, just regular, decent beat 'em up. Boyfriend Dungeon, I finally got to try that out.
Mm-hmm.
I was not expecting the combat in Boyfriend Dungeon to be so simplistic.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of turned me off. Especially now since I'm used to Hades. I'm like, in Boyfriend Dungeon, it's like stab, that's it.
Yeah. No, the
Stab,
Boyfriend
stab,
Dungeon
stop.
definitely scales back on the heaviness of the combat and the dating sim aspect to give you a piece of both.
Mm-hmm.
And the marriage between the two of them is what kind of propelled me forward. Also, it's a Kickstarter game, so, a limited team with a limited budget worked on it. You got to give a little bit of grace there. But yeah, I think it's just the unique concept, I think, that kind of drew me in. I wasn't... When I saw the combat was a little... Especially, I'm off the back of Hades, too. When I saw the combat was a little bit more basic. It's unfortunate because you want everything to kind of be top-notch, AAA polished, but at the same time, I kind of knew what I was getting into,
Yeah. Next game, Haven, which is a game about a couple that's not stranded. Are they stranded on this planet? I don't know. There's a couple that has been running away from someone, and they landed on a planet, and they're kind of living out their lives. And they can apparently, glide. They cook, a lot of shit with apple dew.
Hey, I think I downloaded this game, but I haven't had a chance to play it yet. Do you control both of them, one to each stick? Or, how does that work?
They both just kind of follow each other. So it's not like you're
control
controlling one or the other. It's just they move
controlling
together
them
as a unit.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so
okay.
But I also haven't reached any combat scenarios yet. So I don't know how that works out. Just movement wise, they both move together.
How long have you played it?
Oh, it was 20 minutes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I want to check that out. It's on the list. It's one of the new ones that just dropped that I want to try out. So
yeah. Next, one of the nostalgic games from Xbox Live Arcade, Heavy Weapon. It's such a basic shoot 'em up.
Mm-hmm.
But I just remember putting so many hours into it on the Xbox 360 and starting up the stream, Heavy Warper, Mega Laser.
Right on.
I used to love that game. But yeah, I played that for quite a bit. Popped in Killer Instinct just to see what General Ron played from Gears of War. Got my ass kicked by Saberwolf. And then I stopped playing it.
Oh, no.
Ori and the Blind Forest. Ori and the Blind Forest. I've wanted to play this game for so long, and I never had an Xbox to play it. I didn't feel like buying it on Switch, but now I can play it on Game Pass, and it is beautiful.
Yeah.
It is so beautiful. Not many games that look this good. The art style is just amazing. And I just got into a little bit of combat. Combat's decent, but I've only got one attack so far, so I'm sure there's more to go, but...
I don't know much about it other than that people that play it really love it. Is it kind of like a Metroidvania? Is it scratching that Metroid itch for you right now?
Yeah, kind of, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And a cool mechanic in it is there's no save points, but you collect these orbs that when you hold down B, it creates a save point. So you kind of have to manage how many times you save, or you can revitalize the save point and use it over again. It's pretty cool. I like it. Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. I've been wanting to play this game because I was like, I like Power Rangers. I like fighting games. This should be great, right? Wrong.
Yeah.
I started the story mode and Kimberly kicked my ass in the first fight. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. Why can't I just... Why can't I just push buttons? That's the kind of game it struck me as, like a Mortal Kombat 3.
Yeah.
Or Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, where I could just kind of press buttons, but apparently can't. So
she said, take your ass back to the tutorial.
Right. Uninstall. I didn't even do the tutorial.
You just uninstalled. Oh, no.
Yeah, I just uninstalled it. I was like,
Gotta be a funny TikTok. I like Power Rangers. I like fighting games. Whatcha?
Right.
Defeated. Uninstall.
Oh, my goodness. So, the last two games are the two games I spent the most time playing this week.
Okay.
Another Xbox 360 arcade classic, Zuma's Revenge. Oh, my God. I am addicted. I'm on the last set of levels. There's 6 different areas that you can play through, and I think there's 10 levels per area. And I'm on the 6th area, and I just love this game. For those of you who don't know, it's basically a puzzle game where you play as a frog, and there are different colored balls that come out of an area, and you have to shoot a ball at 2 or more to make them disappear. There's a bunch of power-ups and, extra points and stuff, and it's very addictive. It's very intuitive. It's very colorful. The music is great. I absolutely love it. It's easily my favorite game on Games Pass right now, which sounds crazy because there's so much on there, but it's so good.
Hey, man, if you like a game, you like a game.
Yeah. And even my sister, she was like, oh, shit, Zuma's on here? I was like, yeah, boy. Zuma's on here. So
they got that Zuma on Game Pass? Give me $500.
Right. Exactly. I was like, so basically I spent $300 in trade credit. To play Zuma's Revenge.
Worth every penny.
But that's all right, because Outriders is on there, and a bunch of other stuff that I want to try out.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to get you on Back for Blood with us.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I played Back for Blood. Was not feeling it.
Did you play it with people, though? Did you play it? Yeah,
I didn't play it with people. I played it with single player.
You need to play with people.
I'm just not... The first-person gamer in me, I feel like, has just disappeared.
You got to play with
people.
Faded away. You got to try with people, though.
Got to play with people.
Oh, you know what, though? We need to play The Ascent together. I think you'd like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll download it. We'll try it out.
Yeah, download The Ascent and we'll play that together because I really like that game a lot. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. And lastly, Lost Judgment. Woo! I'm on chapter 9 or 10.
Okay.
And the story has really ramped up. Remember in the beginning when I was like, I don't know if I like this.
We're in high school.
Yeah. Now I'm like, oh, shit. The story has ramped up so much. I'm addicted to playing it now. I want to see what happens next. I am not doing side missions like I should be doing. Mm-hmm. Because, the Yakuza games, they're known for having real quirky side missions and fun stuff. And if you don't do them, you're going to miss out on a lot. But I don't have time. I want to get through this so I can get, 1, find out what happens, and 2, so I can get to the next game. Because as we all know, Shin Megami Tensei 5 is coming out next month. Oh, and it's very close, and I need to have time to be able to play that. Not to mention all these other games that I just put on my backlog by getting Game Pass.
Oh, boy. Let me tell you.
So, yeah. Lost Judgment is... Ooh, it's good.
Yeah.
It is good. I love it.
Well, great. I'm glad the story is working out for you. That's awesome, man.
But, yeah. So, that's it for me. That's what I'm playing. But what have you been playing, good sir?
Not as many games as you. Close.
For sure.
But, I started Favorite Keep Delete last week. So we talked about my first episode being Kong, the 8th wonder of the world. I got through 3 more episodes this week. So I tried out Pokemon Puzzle League on the Game Boy Color. Okay. And it's cool. It's like a little match 3. You know what I mean? A lot of people seem to be really into it. They're like definitely keep / favorite it. And I'm inclined to agree. It's very nostalgic. It plays a lot of songs from the original Pokemon games on Game Boy, like Gold and Silver. And they even have levels themed after a particular starter Pokemon from that game and then other Pokemon as you unlock more levels. Good stuff. I played a game called Mystic Defender on Sega Genesis / Mega Drive. And it's like a 2D side-scroller where you're like shooting powers like chi. I think it's modeled after an anime or a manga. I don't really remember what the name is. It's pretty tough. There was a gimmick with the boss where he was invulnerable and I had to jump up into the trees to get him to chase me. And then he would open up like from like this spinning ball form that he was in. And then I got other powers and they would change depending on whether I'd shoot them directly or I'd charge them up first. So, and the graphics and like the story and everything on that game is really robust. Like somebody put a lot of passion into Mystic Defender and I've never heard of this game. Yeah, so that's definitely a keeper. And then the most recent episode I played was Sonic 2, but the Knuckles version, Sonic and Knuckles.
Oh, okay.
So Knuckles the Echidna in Sonic 2. And then, of course, get to Chemical Plant.
I know I skipped a bunch, but that's the part right there.
Hands down, like of the 2D Sonics, I could do that all day. That's my favorite song. Like I literally had enough footage for the episode, and I was like, I'm putting some fucking Chemical Plant in here because I got, I got to.
And it's many people's favorite song because they couldn't get past Chemical Plant.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Well,
I mean,
I'm just speaking for myself and people that I know, but
okay.
like, yeah.
I mean, I think I talked about it before. When I was a kid, I had a Sega Genesis for the longest time. This was back before I could buy anything for myself. And I had a handful of games that's just what I had to play and nothing else.
Right.
And one of them was Sonic 2. So I opened that game wide. I'm talking like the debug
Busted
mode,
wide.
getting all the Chaos Emeralds. I mean, I beat that game so many times. I have the entire thing memorized.
Wow.
So, but yeah, obviously that's a keeper. You gotta love a little Sonic 2, especially with Knuckles. So I played on Game Pass, I played a dungeon crawler called Going Under. And it's got a really interesting premise.
Is that by Evanescence?
No. I don't recall the developer.
I know they came out with a game.
Yeah. I don't remember the developer. I know it's an indie game, and you play as an intern, and the art is very kind of modern day Cartoon Network. You know, it's very kind of like stylized. I guess you were hired to do marketing for this startup, but when you get there, a goblin attacks, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we got goblins that come up from the basement occasionally. Can you go down there and clear out the dungeon for us?" And you're like, "What?" So you go down there, and it's like old office equipment, and there's monsters, and you have to just pick up like a chair or a pencil or whatever you can find, and just whack them over the head until they die. And then as you progress through the game, you keep complaining about how you went to school for marketing. You took this intern job for marketing, and yet the boss keeps going, but you're so good at defeating the monsters in the dungeons. And look, the crypto startup just opened up, and they have monsters in their dungeon. So you have these different themed dungeons based off of like worthless startups. Yeah, like I think the company you work for to begin with is called Fizz or something, and it's basically a drink that's a meal replacement. Think Huel or something like that.
Oh, I get it. Going under.
Yeah,
because you're going in the basement, and the companies are going under.
Oh, Derrick, look at you with the double entendres. But yeah, like Boyfriend Dungeon, we had just briefly mentioned that the combat is a little basic, but it is more complicated than Boyfriend Dungeon because that is still the main thrust. And there are like abilities that you can eventually do enough times where you can have them immediately or strengthen them as you go through your run. So it is like a roguelite. And then if you ingratiate yourself with different people in the office by doing little side missions for them, then they'll give you abilities. Like I ingratiated myself with this guy by setting stuff on fire in the dungeon enough. And then he would show up in the dungeon shops and steal one item at random for me. So I didn't have to pay for it. Like something cool like that. So that's cool. It's decent. If you're into those types of games, it's worth a look for sure. And then more Back 4 Blood. I've been playing a lot with the gamer friends, usually 4-player. They refused. Like last night, we linked up to play, and we couldn't get a fourth. And I know you were busy, so I couldn't get you. We couldn't get our friend Jack. And then we ended up just talking anime and politics all night, and we never played.
Oh, no. I wanted to talk
Alec
anime.
Baldwin, like, shot somebody yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that.
We were laughing about what Trump was going to say. Like, it's just... Oh, because you know he is petty. He can't wait. I don't know if he's made a statement yet, but it's probably just as bad, if not worse, than like how the takedown he did with Colin Powell, which is just pure comedy if you're following it. All that drama. Anyways, like Back 4 Blood. Let me get back on track. Back 4 Blood is Left 4 Dead, but in some people's opinions, not as good. We talked about it at length last week. There's not anything additional I have to say other than, as I get further into the game, I'm feeling the slog. It's very difficult, and I don't think that the cards that you unlock and the decks that you build ramp you up enough. There are some in our group that are loving it. I'm sort of getting tired of it. Jordan rolls his eyes every single time that he's asked to play it. He's like, "Oh, this game again, fucking." I mean, like, and I'm not mad at him because it does feel like a bit of a slog in a lot of these levels. So I either need to build a better deck or they need to build a better game. Maybe a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. I don't know. So there's that, but I still want you to try it with us at least, just so you can get the multiplayer experience. I borrowed a couple of games from you this week. I borrowed Metroid Dread. I got a chance to try it out. I got all the way up through past the first boss into like the second area that you have to do a loading screen and take an elevator to get to. And I don't like it.
No.
I don't like it.
You gotta give it.
I'm the only I know. I'm the only person in the world who doesn't like it.
Right.
And it's not like I hate it, and it's
And
not
you
like
should
I
be burned
can't.
at the stake.
Basically, I'm gonna get
Right.
roasted for this for sure. It's not like it's not without merit, and it's a good game, and it's beautiful, and the combat is decent, and the movement is decent. I don't like the Emmy thing, especially in the beginning, because you have so little tools to get away, and I feel like I'm constantly redoing areas because I just fuck up and run into one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not, the level design and the combat and the exploration isn't lighting me on fire right now. The thing is like, this is my genre, and I was really expecting to love this, especially the way that people are. I think maybe my expectations were blown up a little too big, and I got to scale it back some. So I cooled off on that, but I am going to finish it. I started it first because of the two games I borrowed from you, it's definitely the shorter one, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. Time will tell if I can get through it or not, and if I end up falling in love with it. But right now, that first date didn't go so well. Let's just say that.
That's okay.
Yeah, I finished Iki Island on Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut.
Ooh,
and
how's that?
Well, amazing. Start to finish, Iki Island is just a masterpiece. To me, it reminds me a lot of Blood and Wine from The Witcher.
Yeah.
Huge, robust area, visually different from the main game, extra different types of quests and side missions that you can pick up, new antagonist that's very interesting. You get new armors and new abilities. Not a ton of... I thought you would get more new abilities, to be honest, but you really only kind of get one... like a one small tree for your horse, and then you get some cool armor and cool stuff. But there are 3 secret shrines on the island that all link to other PlayStation games, and if you figure out how to unlock them, they give you badass themed armor based on the other games.
Dope.
I don't want to ruin it past that for people who are really big PlayStation fans and want to check them out for themselves, but I did record myself unlocking the armor, and I'll probably post up those videos as future TikTok content. So look forward to that. Yeah, good stuff. Smash Ultimate released its final character this week. Sora from Kingdom Hearts. That was beautiful.
Yes.
It was beautiful.
And
it was great. I got a chance to get hands on with Sora, and I liked his arcade mode because it was all stamina. So every single time he defeated somebody in his arcade mode, it would fade out to white like it does when you beat a boss in Kingdom Hearts, which is really neat. That's a cool mechanic they put in if you play Stamina Battle and win with Sora. Sora's a little broken. He has a strike rate ability that can just zoom in from anywhere, and I use that to save my ass more than a few times. The arcade mode itself is really good, except for the final boss is Master Hand and Crazy Hand. I kind of feel like it should be Sephiroth.
Yeah.
Sephiroth's not even in it. You know what I mean? But you do get to fight against Cloud, and you get to fight against other mostly Fire Emblem characters, because they represent the anime characters in... Well, actually, that's not true. That's mainly the spirits. The spirits are mainly Fire Emblem characters. And then you'll fight like little Game & Watches represent shadows and stuff like that. Like, it's fun.
Yeah. The Heartless.
Yeah. And, I mean, his stage is cool. The music is cool. There's not really a whole lot to say other than a worthwhile addition to Smash. Probably going to open up some interesting theme battles for fans in the future who, are into that sort of thing. I know I am.
For sure.
So.
Cloud and Sora versus Sephiroth all day.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of fun. And then the last game I played this week was the other game I borrowed from you that you have been just talking major game on this whole time.
Yes.
Just the highly anticipated, much lauded, also much loved, like Metroid Dread, Tales of Arise.
Chicken.
Arise. Chicken. We can never not do that. And I've gotten, I want to say, like 4 or 5 hours into it, possibly. It's a slow burn because I like to fight, and when action RPGs, I like to kind of dabble in the battle system a lot more than usual.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
Oh, yes.
I love it. The battle system is fucking great, and it's really opening up for me right now, and I'm having a lot of fun getting high combos and chaining all my attacks together. Oh, it's so good.
Because as long as you love the battle system, you're going to love the game.
Yeah, and the story's not that bad.
Better.
It starts off with it definitely starts off with a lore dump, but it's not as bad as it could be. And a lot of Tales games, even the more darker ones like Tales of Berseria, start kind of slow. You're like, in a village, go out and
Right.
gather things
Yeah.
among the squirrels and fight rats. And I'm like, ugh.
Sure is fun. It's like the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2. It's like, hey, you're Roxas, but who's that?
Yeah, I was kind of into the Kingdom Hearts 2, to be honest, though, that opening. I know a lot of people
me
weren't.
too. I love it. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I was like, where's Sora?
But no, the opening to this, they just launch you right into it. Here's this planet with all the good guys. This planet has the bad guys. They're oppressing the good guys. There's slavery and atrocity, and you're a slave, and go. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, we're
Alright,
rebels. I love it. Let's do it. So you immediately, like,
Let's tear down
the
the
objectives is
regime.
clear. The motivations are clear. You know what I mean? There's not a whole bunch of fluff and bullshit. Anime ekes in here and there because it's gonna. But like you said, the balance between that, the interesting story, and the fantastic gameplay, it's more than enough to get me propelling forward, and I'm having a blast with it. In fact, we joke about it often, how like, are you ready to record? Because I was literally playing it all the way up until we had to start recording, and I didn't want to stop. And I was like, oh, I got to stop doing a stupid podcast.
I was playing Zuma up until we started recording.
Oh,
I hate
man.
this podcast. Ooh.
Oh, man. I want to do a sidebar about the state of the podcast, by the way. Let's do that before we close the episode today.
Okay.
Don't let me forget, because we got some really exciting things on the horizon that I want to tell everybody about. So, but before we do that, let's get into gaming news. Gaming news. So, we don't have any, like, huge... Ow! Oh, man. Hurt me. Yow! Yow! Can't go on.
Somebody stop me.
Somebody needs to stop one of us, or we're never going to get through this episode.
Right.
But what I was trying to say is we don't have any big, like, huge, like, Nintendo Direct type news. We have a bunch of little small news, but interesting nonetheless. So let's run through it. Something you brought to my attention today involving PS Plus that people may or may not know.
Yeah, so you can buy games that you've downloaded with PS Plus now. I know it sounds like that's something that you should have already been able to do, but in all the years that PS Plus has been a thing, you could not buy the game that you downloaded with PS Plus. So what I mean by that is when you went to a game that you had on PS Plus, you couldn't even see the price of it.
Yeah, just show
Like
that
if
you
it was
owned it.
ever, yeah, if it was ever on sale, like you wouldn't know. You wouldn't be able to see from your console. And now they've remedied that to where if you get rid of PS Plus, you can still buy the game and be able to play it and take advantage of it and all that. So
Cool.
it's just one of those things weird that they weren't already doing that, but you know, I guess they assume you're going to keep PlayStation Plus.
I think the
Just
PS
so you
Plus
can keep
games
playing
suck
it.
this month, too.
Yeah, what was it? Hell Let Loose, Mortal Kombat X, and something else. I don't know.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, with Mortal Kombat X, if you have a PS5, you already have that because it's part of the PS Plus collection, so that's
Right.
just for PS4 owners. Hell Let Loose is just some kind of random, like, online multiplayer World War II game. Who gives a fuck?
Right. It's
and
probably free to play anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't remember what the other one is either, so that tells you how interesting that shit
Oh,
was.
it's a PGA Tour.
Oh,
Or Rory McIlroy.
Who
McIlroy.
cares? I don't
Right.
give a shit. Oh, Game Pass has a game called Golf with Your Friends that I downloaded yesterday. That looks fun. We should play that. You want to do a little
Okay.
multiplayer mini golf? That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. More gaming news. So lots of pushbacks and updates, and we're going to get into it. So Vampyr quietly got a next-gen upgrade this week. Vampyr is a
Maybe
really
I'll
cool
finish it.
game.
Yeah.
From Focus. You can now visit plague-ridden Victorian London in up to 1440p and 60 frames per second. Hooray!
Yeah, I remember that game's frame rate was not great.
Yeah, I haven't tested to see if it's like one of those, because it just said 60 frames. It didn't say 60 locked, but it didn't also do that
Right.
up to 60 that people kind of asterisk up to 60
Right.
maybe kind of.
So sometimes 16.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about up to 60 a little bit later.
I'm sorry,
in the
did you say
news.
60 or 16?
You know what? We're gonna talk about both. No, we're gonna talk about up. We're gonna talk about up to 60 a little later in the news cycle here. So put a pin in that. And then we just discovered before we started recording that a State of Play is gonna drop for PlayStation this upcoming Wednesday, the 27th at 5 p.m. Eastern. I don't know. I haven't heard any rumors about what's going to be in it, but I'm giving it the side eye because it might be some cool shit.
Yeah, all I need is more Final Fantasy 16.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I want some
that's
more.
all I'm expecting.
I want some more Final Fantasy 16 news for sure.
Yeah.
All right, next-gen versions of Cyberpunk 2077 and The Witcher 3 have been pushed back to Q1 and Q2 2022, respectively, which fucking sucks.
I mean,
I was really looking forward to playing some next-gen Witcher 3, so much so that I just started playing it anyways. But it looks like I'm going to have to wait a little bit longer. And you know what? I do have a ton of other things to play, so whatever. I guess it's fine. What are you going to do? Speaking of pushbacks, Advance Wars Collection on the Switch was pushed to spring 2022.
Oh, no.
Elden Ring, delayed to February 25th. You know, late February, early March, the time when all the games are being released at once.
Yeah.
What the fuck are they thinking? Delay that shit till nothing else is coming out. Oh my god.
I mean, hey, maybe that... I don't know.
I don't know either, dude. Seriously, I'm so sick of them like dropping all the games all at once within a month time frame. It's insane.
Yeah.
Anyways, some good news for PlayStation game fans who don't have PlayStation. God of War being ported to PC in January.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so glad they get to experience it.
God of War on the PC. Look forward to the weird-ass Thomas the Tank Engine ogre bosses and all the other mods they decided to put in that game.
Macho Man Randy Savage boss.
Right. Should be some good stuff. Pre-orders opened this week for the Xbox Series X mini fridge.
Oh.
And they sold out within 15 minutes.
Yeah. People actually have them on eBay.
That's insane.
Trying to scalp them.
Which
it's a fridge.
It's a mini fridge, guys. Although it's extra cute. Oh my god, I kind of wanted one. Here's the thing. I already have a mini fridge. My wife got me one for like a previous birthday or Christmas, and I never use it. And it's not because I don't appreciate it, but here's the thing. I'm in the basement where my mini fridge would be, and I feel like it's healthy for my heart that if I have to go to the bathroom, because I had an option to put a bathroom down here and I didn't. If I have to go to the bathroom or I'm thirsty, I have to take my fat ass up the stairs to do it, right?
Right.
And then back down. So I have an excuse to go up and down the stairs very often. And if I activate that mini fridge full time, then that's one less thing I got to go upstairs for. And I'm not a fan of that. However, I was planning on using that mini fridge for when guests came over because I had a lot of game nights. And I'm like, when all of us are hanging out, not having to go upstairs is actually really good. We'll keep our beers cold. But then Corona. So I have not really had a chance to break in that mini fridge.
I was thinking about beer and I was like, Corona?
And coronavirus.
It's still real. It's called coronavirus because it's COVID now.
Yeah.
It's COVID.
Yeah. It's always been COVID. And it's always been Corona. And it's always been a whole bunch of other names that I'm not going to name here. Anyways.
It's always been real.
Mini fridge. It's super cute and I kind of wanted one, but I'm like, that is just excess. I'm not going to even try to get one. But the fact that it sold out, I thought was hilarious. So let's see. The Assassin's Creed Valhalla Viking Age Discovery Tour on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. I didn't see, because I got this through a PlayStation Outlet news, if this is also live on Xbox, but I have no reason to believe it's not. But this Discovery Tour, like previous Assassin's Creed Discovery Tours, is basically you going through the game in a mode that teaches you about the history because of all the historically accurate shit they put in those games. Yeah. And it's a free update. What's interesting about this edition versus the previous ones, because I think this is the first time they've done this, going through the Discovery Tour nets you actual in-game rewards for the game itself by finishing it or completing it. And they give you like little missions. Cool. They gamified it a little bit more, so to speak.
Nice.
Yeah. And again, we all know my opinion on Ubisoft and why I won't be playing this anytime soon unless I happen to see a used copy. But creatively, I love how accurate they are with these historical pieces that they do in Assassin's Creed. And I love that they take advantage of all that research as not just background dressing, but they implement it in these discovery tours. Like, these things are actually shown in classrooms. And it's really cool. It's really cool. Like, I'm a big fan of this idea. So big ups to that, and check that out if you happen to have a copy of Valhalla, because I think that'd be really cool to check out. Nice. All right, got a couple of trailers this week. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was the Uncharted movie trailer. That dropped. Got our first look at Nathan Drake, as played by Tom Holland, little Spidey boy, and then Sully, played by a mustacheless Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg.
Wow. He doesn't even have gray hair or anything. I mean, he is significantly older than Tom Holland. At least he looks like he is. But at the same time, and again, I actually care less about that casting. Whatever. Give me a snarky Boston Sully. Fine. Whatever. But, I mean, what did you think about it?
What are we doing here?
Hey, Drake. How you doing there?
Yeah,
say hi to your mother for me.
Hey, I ran into all these gold coins. I don't know what I'm going to do with all this gold. I do not like it.
You don't like it? Okay.
I don't like it. And it's not necessarily the movie's fault. It's just that Nathan Drake and friends have been so ingrained in my brain as being these characters from the games. Literally, unless they had Nathan Fillion playing Drake in this movie, there was no way that any casting at all would work. Because that Uncharted fan film came out a few years ago and everybody was like blowing up over that.
Yeah, it was good.
Nathan Fillion was Drake. And it was great.
Look that up.
So
people.
low budget.
Yeah. No, it doesn't matter. Look that up, people. It's good. That's the Uncharted movie you need to see. I'm interested in seeing it just as like an action flick, and I like the people that are in it, but I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how it's going to feel like Uncharted. Tom Holland's baby voice just throws me off. Like, he is not Nathan Drake to me. Nathan Drake is more worldly and kind of... I mean, he's more Nathan Fillion-like.
Yeah, being that they're taking stuff from the games, the fact that they're taking stuff from, like, Uncharted 3 and 4, and, like, mushing it together, like, with his brother, but him being young...
And just meeting weird. Sully. Like, it's weird. They're cherry-picking different parts of the series. Like, if they would have
started... at Uncharted
how
3.
Sully met Drake,
then that'd have been a different story,
like a prequel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, speaking of which, there's something related to the listener question this week that we hopefully will get to, at least in part, because the episode's kind of running long, that kind of works into this. So we'll put a pin in this, but again, I mean, that part where the Scottish guy like yelled at him and he was like, "What?"
Yeah, that was funny.
That was funny because I was like, "What?"
What?
Like exactly when he said "what," I was like, "What?"
Tom the good Scottish welcome.
Yeah, I was just one of our future guests is actually Scottish, and I was just rapping with him about it a day or two ago, and we were laughing about it. So look forward to that because we're gonna get quizzed on Scottish slang pretty soon. But no, it was good
I will
stuff.
say this. The actor that they got to play Chloe, spot on. She looked exactly like her.
She did look, and she had Chloe's attitude too. I was like, okay.
Yeah, and she said the dumbest thing in the trailer. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Like, he doesn't have any friends. I'm one of them.
I'm one of them. I should know I'm one of them. What?
Wait, but you just said, but you just...
I get what they were going for with that line, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't land.
But you just said, okay. All right, well, let's move on.
Yeah.
So, today we got a trailer and a release date for Grand Theft Auto Trilogy Definitive Edition. That's Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Dude was following the damn train.
Oh, that's all you had to do was follow the damn train. What'd you think about the trailer?
I'm not a big fan of the look of it.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because it looks like, and I think it's more of the naming convention because it looks more like a full-blown remake. In some aspects, like the character models look like they're completely remade, not just remastered with a fresh coat of paint, which they are. They have fingers now. Like you said, we were talking about earlier, they got
fingers.
Paws.
They don't have meat paws. They have fingers.
But either way, regardless of how I think it looks or whatever, like I'm gonna play it because I never actually beat 3 or Vice City. I beat the hell out of San Andreas.
Oh wow, I didn't know that about. Okay.
Yeah, so when people are all nostalgic about Vice City especially, I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah, 3 didn't really have much of a story. Like 3 kind of ended abruptly, at least in my opinion. Yeah. But Vice City, I think, is worth experiencing, especially if like you're a fan of Scarface, because it's very influenced by Scarface. Yeah. But yeah, okay, cool. I disagree with you on the character models. I think they look very faithful to the original art style while being obviously more articulated. And to me, it does look how I kind of remember the game looking good. Because, again, for the time that they came out, these were groundbreaking games graphically. Yeah. They were. They were impressive. I was going to say,
this is what they look like they were supposed to look like back Or what we thought they looked like back then.
If I view the game through rose-tinted glasses, this is what I think of. So I think they did a really good job with the updates. They added new textures. The lighting looks fantastic.
The lighting looks great. Like, all that, awesome. It was just the character.
And we should probably get into, like, the quality of life features. They upgraded the control scheme to mimic Grand Theft Auto 5, which is fantastic. Obviously, there are some things gameplay-wise that they couldn't, like, completely reprogram, like drive-bys in San Andreas. But for the most part, everything is going to play a lot easier and a lot less clunky and dated feeling than previous re-releases. That, plus the graphics, plus the updated achievements to kind of add in, you know, some of the memes. Like, there's probably going to be a follow the damn train CJ or a Bigfoot meme, you know, stuff like that. I haven't looked at them, but I've heard some things. There's going to be a lot to go back here that is, even for players who have beat all three, feel fresh. When they were first announced, I just thought it was more, you know, okay, upgrade it to 60 frames and put it on, the next gen. Which, let's talk about that, because this is something I kind of foreshadowed earlier. Next gen, so this is PS5 and Series X, has 4K and up to 60 frames per second. It did not say locked. So I'm thinking it'll probably stay above 30 at least, because, I mean, come on, these are old games. But it doesn't sound like they're going to stick around at 60, which, I mean, to me is fine.
I don't need it.
I don't really need it. Now, specific to the Switch, another feature, because, you know, each version has different features that are kind of specific. The Switch has touchscreen controls and menu shortcuts and gyroscope aiming, which is interesting.
Watch them pull a Houdini. The Switch version is going to look exactly like the originals. Even though they showed the trailer for it.
Yeah, and they showed like the updated graphic. Whoop, and just pulled it. Like, take what you can get. I wish sometimes that I could try these games out before I buy them, because I'm wondering what loading is going to be like. I mean, loading was already pretty decent on these games. There's a little bit of loading in and out of the cutscenes on the older games. But, you know, loading the world up itself is, you know, you load in the beginning and then you're done. So I'm wondering what the difference of that is going to be, and whether I want this on the go, or I do want to go ahead and just get it for Xbox or PlayStation. Speaking of, this is another cool thing. Grand Theft Auto 3 is going to drop day one on PlayStation Now, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is going to drop day one on Game Pass. And I think Game Pass got the better deal out of these two, obviously.
For sure. Especially since no one uses PlayStation Now. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kidding. I know.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll kick them while they're down. But yeah,
I don't need to buy it.
I thought it was odd that nobody's getting Vice City day one, but I guess Switch doesn't really have an equivalent service. And I don't know. So you can get them. It sounds like you can get them separately, since they're already kind of dropping them on certain streaming services separately. Of course, you can get the whole pack as well. I think I would be fine skipping 3 and just getting Vice City and San Andreas. And since I'm already going to get San Andreas on Game Pass, maybe playing that first, and if I go all the way through it and really enjoy it, then that being the cue to go ahead and try Vice City on the update.
I'm definitely gonna play San Andreas, and I know that Vicky's gonna be really excited to play it.
Oh yeah, she a big fan.
Yeah, for sure.
I really hope they get to keep all the music, because licensing can be a bit of a bitch when it comes to music, and I hope that maybe they even add more music. That would be really cool, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Maybe
bring Chakra Attack to San Andreas. I need Chakra Attack.
It's a completely different time period, but we'll see. All right. Well, I kind of foreshadowed it earlier, but let's go ahead and get into the listener question for this week. And I'm going to briefly say my answer, but I think in the interest of time, we're going to hold off on your answer and allow the listeners to answer as well. And then we'll follow up on this listener question next week. So, Ron B., avid fan and listener of the show, shouts out to us this week. We all know video game movies are iffy at best. Do we now? We just talked about Uncharted. Yeah. Right. Most get critically panned, and I'd like to know what games, in the right hands with the right cast, you think could be potentially an awards-worthy film. I'm talking Oscar-type shit. I'd go Mass Effect, but it would need to be multiple films, and the first BioShock. As maybe a bonus, what director and actors do you think would be right for that? When I saw the Uncharted trailer, I immediately thought of this, and I wanted to share this, and I hope this inspires people to think of their own video game movies, cast, directors, whatever kind of setup that you want, and we'll talk about it next week. But for Uncharted, and the cool thing about my idea is you could still do this even with this movie out. I want an Uncharted that's like 20 years or so after the end of the final game.
Yeah.
Old Drake, played by Nathan Fillion. He got dragged into one last adventure, and this time he's doing it side by side with his daughter, who is all grown up, played by Florence Pugh, which, if you guys remember, that is Black Widow's sister, and she also played Nanny in Midsommar. I think she's a great actor, and I would love to see her on adventure alongside Nathan Fillion. I feel like they would have good chemistry as like a father-daughter team. So that is the movie I want to see. As far as a director, I don't know. No one's really lighting me on fire right now, but it would be kind of cool to see it directed by Edgar Wright. I feel like that wouldn't really give it the Uncharted flavor, but I like Edgar Wright as like a comedic director.
Right.
So I'm just going to throw him out there because I didn't really think about the director too much. But I think just that premise, them going on an adventure together with a decent writing team, I think that that would be a banger. So that's my suggestion. All right. But yeah, let's pick this up next week, and maybe I'll have a few other movies I want to talk about, and we'll go deeper into it. And listeners, if you think of a video game property, IP, or franchise that should be made into a movie, and what the cast list and all the details could be like, let us know. We'll shout you out on the show and talk about your picks. All right, now get ready to get out of here. But before we do, just curious, this week, what you feeling?
Series S. What are you feeling?
Of course, you're feeling the Series S. All right. Well, let me just go ahead.
Well, real quick. I don't know how, but the Xbox Series S has become the family gaming machine.
Oh,
like I'm playing games with Nora on there.
Mm-hmm.
Vicky's playing games, watching her play, and I like not the Nintendo, not the PlayStation, the Xbox. It's just funny and ironic to me.
Let's check in on that. I feel like it's the new flashy toy. We'll see how it settles into your regular gaming life. I was a little worried my Series X would fade out once the novelty wore off, but it has definitely settled in as like my multiplayer machine and the system I go back to check new games on Game Pass. So I'm really curious to see if it remains your family console or how it kind of settles into your rotation.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. All right, well then, what am I feeling this week? I am feeling a YouTube channel that I discovered recently. The name is FD Signifier, and this guy advertises as a channel for Black media analysis and reviews. One of the recent videos that he dropped was the rise and fall of Kanye West. It was a two-parter. I actually shared that with you and the crew from Call It. I don't know if any of you guys watched it.
I didn't get a chance to watch it.
It's okay. Not everybody's really into long-form YouTube think pieces, but if you are, I highly recommend this guy. He really challenged a lot of notions for me. Talked about, why white people were so obsessed with Bo Burnham for a while with his special, and I was like, it's pretty insightful. And then I felt called out because he's like, why do white men love edgelord movies? And I was like, I do. I mean, it's not like he's constantly calling people out or making you feel bad about yourself, but he does have a lot of really insightful things to say about pop culture and race and how those things intersect, because they do. And I've actually learned a whole lot from his show and have been challenged in different ways. So if you are Black, if you're white, if you're an ally, if you're a homie, if you're a savior especially, you definitely need to watch his show so you can learn how to stop being a white savior. But I think there's a little something for everybody to learn and kind of brush up on with his show. And like I said, he's really insightful. I'm into it. So that is what I'm feeling this week.
Awesome. Sounds great.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break to shout out our host, Anchor, but don't change that dial because we'll be right back with a little bit of update into the future of the podcast, and we will see you in a moment. All right, and we're back from that ad that we always play. Maybe one day we'll get some big boy sponsors, and then we'll be in the big time. Speaking of the big time, though, our podcast, as you may have noticed yourself because of all the back and forth that we've had, is really kind of taken off recently. And I just wanted to say a special thanks to our regular listeners and our new listeners out there. A lot of people have been reaching out to me to kind of guest on the show. And I've just been so humbled by the amount of people that are passionate about connecting with us. It used to be I kind of had to put some effort in to try to get somebody on the show. But now we're booking people all the way out until next year.
Ooh,
so yeah, we don't want to make this the show where we're always having a guest. We want to have a few episodes where it's just us. So I'm spacing guests out every other week, but look forward to pretty much we're going to be having guests, barring scheduling conflicts, every other week. And we have some really cool people lined up. So I hope you guys will stay tuned for that. And I hope you'll stay tuned for these deals because there were a lot of really cool sounding pickups this week on Derrick's side. So, Derrick, if the people are interested in those gamer goodies, possibly more, where can they locate you at?
They can check out the eBay store at ebay.com/str/gamergoodies and more. If you missed it last week, I am running a 20% off on most items $19.99 to $99.99 until the end of October, so be sure to check out the store for that. You can hit me up on Instagram at GamerGoodiesMore and on Twitter at goodies_more.
All right, and we upload new episodes to our hub at anchor.fm/player2 as Enter the Pod every single Sunday. But our podcast is also available on other platforms like Breaker, Google Podcast, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can find us on all the social medias. That includes TikTok.com/@player2 as Enter the Pod, Facebook.com/player2 as Enter the Pod, YouTube, Player2 as Enter the Podcast. Subscribe, follow, like, comment, get notifications, review us on the platform of your choice. This all helps us out tremendously. And if you really want to help us out, we do have a Patreon that you can check out, patreon.com/player2 as Enter the Pod. If you need to contact us, you can do so via any of these social medias, or you can email us directly at mcpaperstacks@gmail.com for listener questions, guest suggestions, feedback, etc. You can find me personally on Twitter at MikePetersonAL and at Twitch, streaming twitch.tv/mcpaperstacks. I'm down to Fridays at 10 p.m. Eastern, currently playing through The Evil Within. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our show.
It was a good one.
I think so too. I really enjoyed the news this week and just wrapping games. And I'm so excited about you and your Series S.
Ooh, yeah.
You and your Series S.
Little baby series.
All right, little baby Series X. All right, well, little babies, little listeners, we appreciate you.
We love you.
We love you. Who's a good audience? I'm about to be a dad. You guys have to forgive me.
Right.
We got new uncles, new dads. But we love you. We appreciate you, and we will see you guys next week. Take care. Goodbye.
Peace.